So you've got Chael, you've got Conor, you've got Dana White, head honcho himself, you've got Colby Covington. What do they all have in common? Racism, implicit racism and race baiting. And that's what we're going to be unpicking today in this episode of the MMA Audit. It's your boy Cameron. Let's dive straight in.
I was in Las Vegas when the Nogueira brothers first touched down in America. There was a bus this is a true story. There was a bus that pulled up to a red light, and Little Nog tried to feed it a carrot while Big Nog was petting it. He thought it was a horse. This really happened. Do you believe me that happened?
Sure,
Not really.
He tried to feed a bus a carrot, and now you're telling me that country has computers? I didn't know that.
mate.
I did not know that.
I'm laughing because there was obviously humour in there. It's Chael being genius. What Chael's doing there to serve for promotion is race baiting. He's being deliberately ignorant there. He knows what's going on in Brazil. It's funny. I'm laughing. I'm a black man. I'm laughing at Chael's genius wit. Nevertheless, when you categorise it, that's race baiting. How has Dana White not come out and imposed some kind of sanction on Chael for doing that? The reason why he hasn't come out and done that is because it's all in the name of the green. If you're promoting a fight, Dana doesn't care if you're going to cross a line here and there, so long as it's not properly flagrant, as long as you're not beating up women. Race is fair game. I feel like Dana's rubber stamped there in his inaction. He needed to come out and say something. And again, there's so many Brazilian fighters in the UFC. You would think that a sports organisation that made so much money off of Brazilian nationals have come out and said something in defence of that. Not a chance, mate. This is what we're getting to here. The inaction from the head honcho of UFC is an implicit sign-on on Chael's race baiting here. Have a word with yourself, Dana.
Let me ask you one difficult question, if I may. Your critics have sometimes called you a race baiter. When you hear that, and obviously you've made some colorful remarks about the country of Brazil, but when you hear that, I guess I'd like to know, what emotions do you feel?
I don't find that funny. I resent it. To say that a person, I don't support racism in any fashion. And
What?
for any reason, including humor. I don't do
What?
it, and it's not true.
When I hear
You're having a laugh, Chael. I don't know how you could say that and have a straight face. Just in Exhibit A, that's not defence sufficient and unchecked race baiting. Again, let me state this. Any other organisation, sports organisation in the world, sanctions there. Ban, fine, something. Again, to Dana White and the UFC, race is fair game if it's in the promotion of a fight. Out of order, man.
So, recognize a real dawn when you see one. Do they not know I'm half black? Yeah. I'm half black from the belly button down.
Fucking hell, Conor. Here is the point where we need to have an honest conversation. I love Conor and I love the UFC. I love combat sports. I love boxing. But this isn't on. Yeah, he's joking and whatever, and it's all tongue in cheek. But that does something to me. Prejudice, discrimination, antagonism underlined by an individual, community or institution against a person or people on the basis of their membership of a particular racial or ethnic group, typically one that is a minority or marginalised. What Conor McGregor's just done there, taking the mick, I'm half black from the waist down, yeah, black people have big phallic tool and all that stuff. How is that not the definition of racism? No longer are we gonna skirt around it. MMA is tinged all over with racism. It's an epidemic indeed, and it's one that needs to be rooted out. Conor McGregor, I love you to death, man. You're my guy, but that is unacceptable and you need to be held accountable for that. This Conor especially, I really like that Conor. Witty, comic relief for days, brilliant timing. Who the fuck is that guy? That, however, is too far. There is no level of wit or comic relief that exempts you from those kind of things. You need to be held to account, man. Conor McGregor needs to have a word with himself on the back of stuff like that. And you know what? Moreover, Dana White definitely needs to have a word with himself, because he needs to be holding Chael and now Conor accountable for such racial slurs / race baiting. It's not on. Conor continues.
For my beautiful black female fans.
No comment. Poor taste at best. race baiting / racism at worst. Have a word with yourself, Conor. It's not on. So coup de grace racist McGregor, Exhibit C. So we all know that Muslims don't drink and that Khabib is Muslim. So what does Conor go and do next?
How about me? Hang Joy. Here, hang Joy, just let me give him. It's his birthday.
I'm gonna go like
show him
my
the bus.
last fight.
Happy birthday,
Like,
show him the bus.
I don't drink.
Why don't you drink?
I don't drink.
Why don't you drink?
I never drink.
I'll tell you some buzz at parties.
I never drink.
You mad backwards cunt. You're
never
dead when I get my hands on you, do you hear me?
I never
You're
drink.
fucking dead.
I never drink.
I'll drink it. Me and the Irish boss them.
That makes for uncomfortable watching for me. Why don't you drink? You know why he doesn't drink. You're baiting him. It's horrible. And you know what? When I rewatched that, it makes me glad that Khabib punched his face in. Talked to him. Said to him, let's talk now. No, Conor, it wasn't only business because you took it too far. You brought race, religion, and family into the promotion of the fight. Those are three things that you shouldn't be talking about, mate. It's not only business. Of course, it's not only business. Bonus, race baiting footage from Conor McGregor. Who else?
I own this town. I own Rio de Janeiro. So for him to say he is the king.
Oh, Conor, be careful with what you're about to say, mate.
And I am the Joker. If this was a different time, I would invade his favela on horseback and kill anyone that was not fit to walk. But we are in a new time, so I'll whoop his ass in July.
Fuck's sake, Conor. How can you defend that? Black people were slaves 400 years ago. What are you talking about, Conor? It's too soon, big man. You can't say that, Conor McGregor. Rewatching that just makes me want to just turn off the UFC, man. I love it. I love the big pay-per-views. There's nothing more juicy than that. But when this stuff is allowed to happen unkept, you can't say that. And of course, in comes Colby Covington now.
With your other post, you called Tyron Woodley a domestic terrorist sympathizer. How do you draw that parallel to
domestic terrorists, Black Lives Matter? What are you talking about, Kobe?
Fighting for equal rights and social justice? How are those the same?
Good question.
Because he's standing up for lifelong criminals. The Black Lives Matter is a complete sham. It's a joke. They're taking these people that are complete terrorists. They're taking these people that are criminals.
What are you talking about, Kobe? There are black lives being lost at the hands of police brutality. That's what Black Lives Matter serves to tackle. Okay, there's the left-wing political aspects that we'll get to another day. But in essence, it's a well-intentioned organisation. What are you talking about, Kobe? And what's worse here is that, so he's still in character, but his tone is serious. The miseducation is real here. Dana White should have a word. What does Dana say?
Guys all have their own causes, things, all their own beliefs. We don't muzzle anybody here.
Absolutely ridiculous. Dana, you run a multi-billion-dollar company. There is too much responsibility for you to be so irresponsible in your answers. You need to hold people like that accountable because the ramifications are too widespread here, mate. You can't be doing this, Dana. Have a word with yourself. And then, of course, you've got Tony, right? Tony Ferguson's the type of guy never to be left out of race baiting trend.
Buddy, you're gonna go back to top 70 when I'm done with you. After I'm done
fair.
with you, you're gonna, you know what? I might even make you verbally tap. I've never done that to somebody. I might just stall you out, put you on foot on all fours, put your hand behind your back like a police lock, and beat you like the thug that you are.
Okay, okay, guys.
Why was DC laughing? George Floyd's not long. And I know this happened before George Floyd, but George Floyd wasn't the first. How is that even appropriate? Again, have a word with yourself, Tony. I know Tony's a bit mad, but still that doesn't absolve him. That's not a funny joke. How are you going to talk about beating another black man as if he was a thug with all the killings at the hands of the police that are going on? Tony, inappropriate at best, race baiting at worst. Have a word with yourself, mate. It's a lot for me. It's a lot for me. So in closing, and as a massive fan of mixed martial arts and the UFC, it's really tough for me to watch that stuff being checked. As a black British male who's not unaccustomed to racism, let's say, it's hard for me to watch that just go unchecked. Powers that be aren't saying so. That leans nicely into institutionalized racism. When do I stop watching the UFC? When do I take my money elsewhere to Bellator or just stop watching mixed martial arts altogether? Should have done it long time, really. If I wanted to communicate with my greed, with my pounds, UFC shouldn't be getting it. That's just unacceptable, man. These guys need to be held accountable. Ferguson, Colby, Conor McGregor, Chael, all should be held accountable. But no, Dana White distances himself from it. Anything that's even remotely race baiting in the name of fight promotion. Dana, Kobe, Conor, Chael, Tony, you'll want to have a word with yourselves if the powers that be aren't going to.